I was trying to give y'all this blue hijab, but the blue hijab, my head is it's entirely too big to wrap it the way I want to. Oh, wait, something's happening. Something's taking place. Hold on. Y'all know who it is. Y'all know it is when I step up in this building. What? Edges on fleek. Air candy on, huh? And 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey y'all, it's your girl Mariama Iyama, and you're watching Yama Chanel, aka Yama's channel. We're gonna, hey, behave. Yeah, we're gonna skip the life update because let's be real, y'all know where I was at. I was on Facebook. Go ahead and add me, follow me there so I can be a little influencer and get paid. But not for real. Where I was really at was work because I'm a mother. In fact, here's my baby. If you want to donate to the Fat Paw Pockets, yeah. Go ahead and click any of the links below, whether it's the subscribe button, the buy me a coffee. I'll even hit y'all with my cash app if you really want. Just say goodbye. All right. Okay, so what brings us here today is a viral TikTok moment involving a black male educator. I'm not gonna say his name because it's already enough having his photo in the, you know, thumbnail. Y'all could just go on TikTok and find out. But basically, yeah, he's been under fire because he had quite a few of his female students like unbraiding his hair. And while I at first thought that seems like almost nothing, it opened up a larger conversation as to whether or not that should even be okay. And the thing is, it worked to his detriment because from what, like, I'll even insert like a clip of the video here.
Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing and people were just making it weird. So of course I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a hair appointment immediately after school and I needed my hair taken out beforehand. I would have taken it out the night before, but that Friday we had a camera crew coming in to shoot a promotional video and I was one of the ones being interviewed. So I had to look presentable, so I didn't take my hair out. I didn't have the time to do it all myself because it would have taken me forever. So naturally I asked about 4 or 5 of my over 100 best friends to assist me in taking my hair out and they all agreed. Number 2, this was at the end of class. This week we were doing STEM fair presentations. Since it was Friday and all of my students did an excellent job on their STEM fair projects and presentations, I told them if we get one solid presentation in this class, I'll end class a little early and they can have fun and play basketball, darts, or be on their phones or whatever. And during that time, my team would help me take my hair out. A couple of these were students from my class, but others were students from other classes. I wrote all of them a pass at the beginning of the class.
Basically, as you can hear in the beginning of the video, he wanted to highlight like the double standard in which people perceive him as a black male educator who has that comfortability in that safe space and that, you know, nurtured relationship with his students, finding that that would be okay for them to do versus how people would perceive it had he been a female educator. And I definitely understand what he was getting at, but me myself, I simply don't agree. And that's that's not to say that I think he's a weirdo because I don't know him from a can of paint. And granted, apparently there's been other things that's come out like in the time that I'm, you know, recording this video. I don't want to touch too much on that. I want to stick to like the matter at hand. And I can just say that like I don't agree with him getting fired off this alone, but I do understand why he was put under closer examination, and here's one reason as to why. For one thing, I feel like in the video he stated that he like gave the girls passes so that in the last 10 minutes of class, if all their work was done, if their behavior was well, etc., that they would be okay to leave where they were at to come help him undo his hair. He says that it was because earlier in the day he had to look presentable because, you know, the school had something going on involving like, you know, the news or just being recorded, and he was like one of the highlights of the video. But right after the school day, he had a hair appointment, to which, okay, he had to look presentable, so he kept his little twisty braids in, but immediately afterwards they were supposed to already be taken out so he can make his appointment. I don't understand how that becomes an academic matter, but hey, that's what happened, which is why he called upon like his, you know, besties to help him out or whatever. And like I said, I don't think that's like innately harmful, but I will say that one reason as to why he was probably taken down from his position is because like that, I feel like the argument that that introduces intimacy is valid, because again, it's, some people see it as just undoing hair, but it's clear that the girls are comfortable around him, which is good. Like, whether it's girl students, male students, etc., like, students should be comfortable around their teachers, but to that extent, I just don't know. And it's not to say that they're doing anything nasty, and even with the argument that hair is intimate as Black and as African people in general, it's not even that. It's the simple fact that that's his person, that's his body, and they're clearly comfortable interacting with his body. And not that every person who's going to be put in a position of authority or power is for sure going to be some type of sicko. Like, you know, we will hope that's not the case. But in the world that we live in, the harsh reality is that these sickos that, you know, do thrive off that kind of attention or, you know, physical touch from young girls or young boys, they integrate themselves into positions such as that, so that, like, when they're doing these things, it's not looked at as anything other than the mundane, when in reality, they're getting off on it, or they're using it as a stepping stone to, you know, interact with these kids the way they would really like. And they're going to look at it and be like, oh, you know, it's child's play, or oh, it's normal, up until it's not. Because if you've ever been groomed before, if you understand the concept of grooming, it never looks as though it's grooming from the first. It's not like these sexual assailants pop out and say, oh, I'm a sexual assailant. No, they're covert about it.
A few moments later.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. My camera died. We're gonna try and speed through this. Yeah, they're never outright about it. Like, they would even get this far if they were outright about it. They're slick with it. They do it right under your nose. If you watch that Disney... No, if you watch a Nickelodeon documentary, the one that was taking advantage of Drake was grouping him by way of, okay, like, touching up on him, like, in innocent ways until it wasn't so innocent no more. And again, this isn't to say that we need to look at every male or every educator as though that this is what they are. We just had to recognize that this is what they could be. And part of the schools, like, part of protecting Black children means making it hard for things like that to go under our noses. So I feel like that's one reason as to why that doesn't need to be happening, because first it's this and then next is something else. I hope you guys catch my drift. A second thing is, we need to get rid of this whole like phenomenon of wanting to be the cool teacher. But for the teachers who gossip with their students, that's not okay. For the teachers who offer their students rides home, definitely not okay. I know y'all seen that episode of Degrassi. My man's KC, his coach, took him under his wing, made it seem like, oh, just because he saw something special in him, when in reality he was like setting him up for like some things that a grown man should not be setting up a child for. Because he was in high school. That man, he was less than 18. That little boy, I should say, was still a child. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Degrassi's on YouTube, all the episodes. You know, shout out to Canada, so you can I'll even put the link in the description so you know what I'm talking about. And if we're gonna, like, you're a teacher at the end of the day. Your only job is to provide these students with the insight and the knowledge and the skills and tools that they need to just be able to maneuver around life. That's one end. But another end is, yeah, there could be the personal aspect as far as, okay, they need to be comfortable coming to you when they're being bullied. They need to be comfortable coming to you when they don't understand something. They need to know that, yes, you're there to educate them, but also you're there to, like, be there for them as little people in this world. And I feel like that's what this teacher in particular was more concerned about. But where he loses me is the fact that, like, he's making it seem as though this, like, overstepping of boundaries is the only way to nurture or foster, like, authentic teacher-student relationships. And people are bringing up the argument that, oh, culturally, oh, this is nothing, especially as Black people, to have each other in one another's hair. If my child came home and told me, oh, she was playing her teacher's hair, regardless if it's a guy or a girl, I didn't send you to school for that one. And that's not even me just trying to be strict. It's just that, I don't know, people be having lights too, so that's another thing. Like, I don't know. But anywho, yeah, it's just like, I don't feel like it was the most necessary. And if you do want to make the argument that, okay, you could, there are cultural components to this. If culture is so important to you, Black people, we like to dap each other up. Let it be something innocent like that, like the TikToks where, okay, everyone's getting dapped up, there's brief physical contact in those interactions before they head into the classroom, and then it's kept at that. You know what I mean? Or if you want to foster authentic relationships, it could be like an example of, okay, you know, a student probably is going to have a hard time finding something to eat at home, so you decide, okay, to contact their parent and then, you know, offer them like, hey, you know, let's get you some McDonald's. Like, I just feel like there's ways to be there for students so that they understand that, like, okay, you're not going to be harsh, authoritative figure all the time without, like, just, you know, crossing the barrier of, like, physical contact. You know what I'm saying? And then another thing that people are, like, refusing to, like, recognize or realize is the simple fact that this honestly could have kept going had he not posted it on the internet. I'm just going off the simple TikTok video in and of itself and how it could have opened those kids up to even more than we even like have in mind, you know, like with people like, oh, getting off on just seeing them on camera, or people who like are gonna look for them in the comment section. And just children's faces should not be on their teachers' social media. You're not even supposed to have your teacher's social media. Like, let's get down to the real tea. If we're really gonna talk about, you know, protecting like Black children all in all, we gotta recognize that maybe we should do away with this altogether. Because going back to one of the points of his TikTok, he wanted to like point out the double standard in which it would be okay for a Black female teacher to receive that kind of like interaction versus him. And Black female teachers, whether it's with Black female students or Black male students, could also hold the same weight of being predators. There's so many women who are first like introduced to the idea of sexual assault or sexual misconduct by way of people who look just like them, because in all reality we don't look at women as predators in the same way. We don't look at same-sex like interactions or relationships the same way we do heterosexual ones. And that is within understanding, but that doesn't make it okay. We have to protect children all across the board. Like the same way he could pose a threat as being a potential predator is the same way the next woman could. And we've seen it time and time again, whether it's on TikTok or any other like news outlet kind of thing. We had to do away with this idea that, you know, a predator only looks one way, because in our reality, anybody who's in a position of power, whether it's by way of authority, like finances, status, etc., that's what sexual like misconduct and assault all boils down to, is a leverage of power. Tell me I'm lying. Like, that's something that I'm so glad that the Me Too movement was able to like highlight, because people think of it exclusively as like, oh, a sexual attraction thing. But when people who you don't think are sexually active or who you don't perceive as being conventionally beautiful or sexual assaulted, you don't want to believe them, when it's like they very well could have been. And it's not on the basis of just like how are they perceived visually. It's for the simple fact that these people wanted to exert power over them. And I feel bad talking about this situation as though like I'm in any position to condemn this man. All in all, I'm just not in favor of this, because anything that makes it easier for people who are masking themselves as safe like individuals or figures in a child's life to get away with being everything but, I just rather do away with. And that's not to say there can't be friendly aspects from a teacher to a student, or from a student to a teacher, because that's definitely important, but it shouldn't be the heart or motivation of how this like interaction and engagement with one another takes place. You know, if this man ain't guilty of nothing, sorry to that man.
Sorry to this man.
Also recognize that you wanted to stir the table, shake the pot, whatever you said in the beginning of that TikTok. And in some ways, it's what you got what you wanted. Like, there's a conversation opened up for sure. but it worked to your detriment because allegedly now you lost your job, or you have these narratives circling around your like career, and it's gonna probably follow you for the rest of your life. And you know, I hope if you're not guilty of none of this, like you're able to still find a way to thrive and survive. But let's all just be mindful of what we post on this internet, because at the end of the day, this all could have went without being noticed also if you didn't post a TikTok. Like, and to add to that, like apparently messages have surfaced of them texting him, calling him bestie, or oh, like him making jokes with them about wanting the lunch lady or like their moms. And that just like adds to what people are saying, like there's inappropriate interactions. There should be no reason as to why a teacher is discussing with students, regardless of age, what they would like to do, or like just to other I don't even gotta say too much. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. Like, you should not be talking about romantic or sexual endeavors or getting at, like, you know, other people with your students. And the fact that he was isn't necessarily outright condemning, but it does add to him being questionable. It does add to, you know, whether or not this is all suggestive. And people are also using the argument that it's because he's a black male. I definitely get where that's coming from, because you know, there's already like so many like stigmas set out against them. They also bear the burden of, not necessarily the burden, but they also have the cape of trying to be a representation of what a lot of these students who are black or people of color likely don't have in their households or don't have in their communities, which is a trusted male figure who they could go to for guidance, for advice, for support.
No, not you.
He even has a TikTok saying that one of his students was doing his nails, I believe, because she aspires to be a nail technician, and he wanted to invest in her or also provide her like a means and a vehicle to like exercising that skill or passion of hers. All of these are well-intentioned, but you never know a person's actual motives, kind of thing. So that's where a lot of the naysayers are coming from. And I feel like another reason why he lost his job is probably because, like he said, he was the highlight of a broadcast earlier in the day. And, you know, with that attention already on them, people now spectating on TikTok, the school probably had to make moves. So my camera's about to die. That's all I got for right now. Tune into my next video. And I'm sorry for the hiatus. I will explain. Bye. Woo! Subscribe, comment, and all that good shit below. As well as add me on Instagram, Facebook, all of that. Fuck. Shitting me.